Vivian. Hey, congratulations on your new film, Scrap.
Thank you so much. Thanks for chatting with me today.
Hey, not a problem, not a problem. Your film is so fascinating because I was so curious where your character, was I don't want to say going to survive, but it was such a that how can you say it's such a drama and so realistic especially in the Los Angeles area. So you could really feel how some people may actually be going through something like this. But let's hear it from you first. Is where the original idea came from for you to write up the story Scrap?
Thank you, first of all. Yeah, I mean, I did want to try my best to kind of portray something that I was seeing in Los Angeles. Like I was seeing a lot more people sleeping in their cars, people sleeping in RVs and tents. It suddenly seemed to be everywhere. And thinking about kind of what kind of story I could tell that would maybe explore someone living in that situation, but maybe doing it from a slightly different perspective. I think we've seen enough movies where someone is, living in their car and they're like a drug addict or they're sleeping on the streets and they have schizophrenia. And I was thinking like it might be interesting to tell a story about a woman who is just at the beginning of her experience with that and sort of like just at the start of like that slippery slope where you're realizing like if she doesn't get out of this situation quickly, like it could get much, much, much worse. So that was sort of the initial genesis of it, just seeing my own neighborhood change a lot.
Hmm. Now, how how do you try to tackle someone like the character Beth per se? Because in her own way, she's trying to get out of this, but in another way, it almost seems like she's too stubborn to admit or ask for help, which is in a lot of cases that's what a lot of homeless people are in that position. Am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, well, I think it's a mix, right? I think there's probably um as many reasons for someone maybe being homeless as there are people who are having that experience. Like, I don't think it's monolithic that, oh, they're lazy or they're all drug addicts or they've all aged out of the foster care system or they're all, mentally ill or they're all financially irresponsible or, I think it's just, I think there's as many stories as there are people going through that. And so this particular story it is about a woman who has a lot of trauma from her childhood, from her relationship with her ex. Um, she clearly does not have a lot of self confidence. She clearly has been living above her means, right? Like she doesn't have any financial acumen. So and I think in that sense, like she is sort of frustrating because she does have a support system. And in the beginning of the movie, it is a little bit like, why is, she seems like she doesn't have to live like this. So why is she living like this? But you realize for her, it's a lot more psychological.
Yeah, and I completely understand that this film is an independent film. So at which point, after writing that, you decide to either star in it and direct it?
Basically from the beginning. So as I was writing it, I knew I was gonna play Beth, and I also knew I was gonna direct it. So like from the beginning, I was sort of doing it. Um, I was all in.
Wow, you wore so many hats in this film. So how about this? Tell us about balancing the serious tone of the story and to bring in a little bit of humor into this story.
Yeah, I'm glad that you picked up the humor. I think there's some funny moments. I know like there's bleak moments too, but just I think that to me feels true to life, right? It's like you're just sort of like funny things happen all the time where it's like, you'll get a phone call and you get like amazing news and then you like fall in a puddle and it's like life is just like silly like that sometimes. So and I think anyone who's lived in a big city like Los Angeles or New York, like there's always like strange circumstances and like especially with some of the supporting characters that like Beth runs into. It's like, the woman at the bus stop who's sort of like muttering to herself. and then the Uber driver who's like overly chatty. It's like these are sort of experiences that I know I've had in Los Angeles. So I just, yeah, I had so many days where it felt like, you know, something sad would happen and then something incredibly funny would happen like in the same hour. That's always felt true to true to me, I think. And then in terms of, I think, some of the comedy as well, I think there's a lot of humor in characters who self-sabotage themselves, and Beth is an epic self-sabotager. So maybe just sort of like sprinkling that on a little bit, or like heightening that a little bit for comedic effect. Maybe in some sense, I here and there took some of my own like worst qualities and then just sort of exaggerated them a little bit for fun.
So how did you compile the perfect cast for your film? Obviously, it has a start with Anthony to star opposite with you.
Yeah, so he was so by the time the feature was done, he was attached to the feature, and then we brought it to casting directors who helped us with the other roles. So sort of the biggest roles that, you know, we wanted to make sure were perfectly cast was obviously Stacy, Anthony's wife, played by Lana Parrilla, my love interest, played by Cleo Thomas, and our cast directors also had to find a little girl actress, you know, and they found Juliana, who's amazing. So it was really just once it was going to be me and Anthony, then it was figuring out like what's a supporting cast that really makes sense with us to kind of sort of flesh out the world of Los Angeles.
Now, there are also other underlying themes in your film, such as single motherhood or trying to get pregnant. I'm actually guessing it's not associated to your real life. Am I correct?
No, if there's nothing, no, I'm not a mother. There's no relate, you know, I don't have any like personal experience to relate to that. But I do think I think for most women in their 30s, like the idea of motherhood is very present, right? It's like you know, it's just biology. It's like, you know, making a decision. Like, do you want to be a mother? Do you not? If you do you want to have a biological child? Do you not? Not that you can't be a mother, you know, and not have a biological child. Like, and women are, you know, giving birth into their 40s now, right? It's very common, much more than it ever was in the past. But I think once you're in your 30s, like it is a topic, and it's a topic that comes up a lot with your female friends, and you see your female friends starting to, you know, have families or grow their families. So I think it was something that was definitely on my brain as I wrote the story. And I also just thought it would be an interesting complication, because if you have a child that you're responsible for, you can't, you know, you can only screw up your own life so much before it's going to affect that little person, right? So it just added extra pressure on Beth, because she, you know, you can't bring a child into a situation like that is that dangerous, right? Living on the streets of Los Angeles with a small child is um you know, horrible.
I know. I did feel for Beth trying to raise her daughter. And by the way, the actress you have playing the daughter, she is so adorable.
She's really cute. Yeah. No, she got so lucky. I know when we found her, I was like, oh, this is great, because I felt like she looked like Anthony and I, you know, and she's just like adorable, and she's an amazing actress. Like she's really good. I mean, she like knew all her lines. Like she was so sweet. She was like never tired, always upbeat. She's like a perfect little girl actress. So I'm like, I know she's going to have like an amazing career.
Now, this also marks your feature film directorial debut. How was that overall experience? I know you had experience with a couple of short films before.
I loved it. I mean, I absolutely fell in love with directing. And yeah, I want to keep directing features for the rest of my life. I absolutely loved it. I had such a great experience, and I truly have to thank the cast, the other cast members and the crew for giving me such a lovely first experience, because I suppose if it had been awful, you know, if like the cast had, I don't know, maybe not listened to me or taken me seriously, or if the crew, same, sort of didn't respect me or take me seriously or wanted to listen to me, it could have been terrible, right? Like it could have been really disappointing and frustrating, but they were so patient with me. And um, yeah, I learned a lot as well. I mean, it was an incredible uh, privilege to learn how to be a director from these crew members who had decades of experience. So yeah, absolutely fell in love with it. Want to keep directing movies forever.
Most definitely. Sounds like you had a joy with it. And one last thing, Vivian, that I just want to cover is how did you know how to end this film? Because this could have gone in so many different directions.
Yeah, we sort of plant seeds in the beginning. When I first go over to my character first goes over to her brother's house and we're watching the little girl playing, and I say, she looks so happy here, and a lot of people are like, oh, I thought, she was going to end up, I mean, spoiler, but they're like, I thought she was going to end up having to give the little girl to them. And sort of like because she couldn't take care of her anymore. But I wanted to end the movie on a positive note, and I wanted the movie to ultimately be about the siblings sort of healing each other.
Mhm.
Um, and part of that because the movie starts with Beth and Beth's face and the situation that she's at of um, maybe most uncertainty, sort of the most stuck. And I wanted to end it with Ben and a moment of a close up of his face where he is the most um comfortable, like it feels like his journey is complete, he's going to be able to let go of having needing this control, he's sort of on the right path as well, and he's acknowledging that like their family is going to be okay.
Well, it is such a fascinating movie. I love the chemistry with everyone, and especially the themes of homelessness. So, Vivian, thank you very much for your conversation. I know down the road we'll probably talk again because it sounds like you're going to go back in the director's chair again someday.
Yes, that's true. I'm a lifer now.
Most excellent. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Gig. It was lovely chatting with you.
You too. Thank you.